December 4th, 1941. Khimki, Soviet Union. Northern suburb of Moscow. German reconnaissance unit reaches tram station. Farthest point Wehrmacht advance toward Soviet capital. Soldiers see Moscow skyline visible across frozen landscape. Kremlin spires in distance, 15 kilometers away. Victory seemingly within reach. Final push tomorrow will capture city. War almost won. Then, temperature drops. -30 Celsius. -35. -40. Keep dropping. Weather stations recording -45. Then, -50. Finally, -52 Celsius. Coldest temperature ever recorded in Moscow region. Wehrmacht soldiers experiencing cold beyond human comprehension. Beyond survival limits. Beyond anything German army prepared for. Cold that doesn't just freeze, cold that eliminates. Cold more deadly than any weapon Soviet Union could deploy. Operation Barbarossa launched June 22, 1941. Hitler's invasion of Soviet Union. 3 million German soldiers crossing border. 3 army groups, north toward Leningrad, center toward Moscow, south toward Ukraine. Blitzkrieg tactics perfected Poland. France now applied to vast Soviet territory. Wehrmacht expects quick victory. 6 weeks maximum. Capture Moscow before winter. Soviet Union collapses. War in East won by autumn. Plan assumes no serious resistance. Assumes Soviet military incompetent. Assumes Stalin's purges weakened Red Army beyond recovery. Assumptions prove catastrophically wrong. Initial German advances spectacular. Millions of Soviet soldiers captured in massive encirclements. Kiev pocket alone nets 665,000 prisoners. Entire Soviet armies destroyed. Tank divisions eliminated. Air Force shattered on ground first days. Wehrmacht advancing hundreds of kilometers. Smolensk, July. Kiev, September. Leningrad surrounded. Victories mounting. German generals confident. Just final push needed. Capture Moscow. Soviet Union finished. Reality different. Soviet Union vast. Reserves endless. Space infinite. Germans racing across territory that just keeps expanding. Supply lines stretching. Logistics struggling. Autumn rains begin October. Roads turn to mud. Rasputitsa season of mud stops. German advance completely. Tanks stuck. Trucks immobilized. Artillery sinking. Everything halted. November freeze hardens ground. Movement possible again. Operation Typhoon final push toward Moscow resumes. Army Group Center commanded by Field Marshal Fedor von Bock. 3 panzer groups, 3 armies, over 1 million soldiers, 1,700 tanks, 14,000 artillery pieces, 950 aircraft. Objective, Moscow. Hitler obsessed with capturing Soviet capital. Symbolic victory, political trophy, strategic necessity. Stalin equally determined to defend. Moves reserves from Far East. Transfers Siberian divisions. Calls up militia. Mobilizes civilians. Constructs defensive lines. Multiple fortified belts surrounding city. Tank traps. Artillery positions. Machine gun nests. Mines everywhere. Moscow becoming fortress. Wehrmacht attacks October 2nd. Initial progress good. Soviet defenses penetrated. 2 massive encirclements created. Vyazma pocket captures 673,000 Soviet soldiers. Bryansk pocket another 50,000. German confidence surging. Moscow will fall within weeks, maybe days. But Soviet resistance stiffens. New divisions appear. Siberian troops fresh, well-equipped, experienced fighting Japanese Manchuria. Fight with determination German soldiers haven't encountered. Every village defended. Every river crossed under fire. Every kilometer paid in blood. German advance slowing. Casualties mounting. Weather deteriorating. November temperatures dropping. Snow falling. Early winter arriving. German quartermasters promised winter clothing arriving. Promises unfulfilled. Trains carrying winter gear stuck in rear areas. Priority given ammunition, fuel, food. Clothing considered secondary. Soldiers wearing summer uniforms, maybe great coats if lucky. No winter boots, no thermal underwear, no insulated gloves. Standard issue inadequate for Russian winter. Temperatures already -10, -15. Getting colder daily. Soldiers improvising. Stuffing newspapers inside jackets for insulation. Wrapping feet in rags. Stealing blankets from abandoned houses. Survival becoming challenge equal to combat. December 1st, German forces reach Moscow suburbs. Closest approach ever achieved. Reconnaissance units see Kremlin. Artillery could shell Red Square. Victory tantalizingly close, but Army Group Center exhausted. 3 months continuous combat. Casualties approaching 200,000. Equipment losses severe. Tanks reduced from 1,700 to maybe 500 operational. Rest broken down or abandoned. Fuel supplies critical. Ammunition adequate, but logistics struggling. And winter coming. Real winter. Russian winter. December winter. Siberian cold moving west. December 4th. Temperature plummets. -20 becomes -30. -30 becomes -40. -40 insufficient description. Weather stations recording -45. -50. Thermometers breaking at -52 Celsius. -62 Fahrenheit. Cold beyond anything Germans experienced. Beyond anything Wehrmacht prepared for. Beyond human tolerance levels. Exposed skin freezes in minutes. Breath crystallizes instantly. Metal burns on contact. Weapons seize. Engines fail. Oil solidifies. Everything stops functioning, including humans. Frostbite epidemic spreads through Wehrmacht ranks faster than any disease. Soldiers waking up unable to move fingers. Toes black inside boots. Ears frozen solid. Noses white and hard. Thousands requiring immediate medical evacuation. Field hospitals overwhelmed. Doctors performing emergency amputations continuously. Fingers, toes, feet, hands. Anything frozen beyond saving gets removed. No anesthesia available. Just morphine, if lucky. Vodka, if not. Screaming echoing through medical tents. Piles of amputated limbs outside growing daily. Frostbite casualties exceeding combat casualties. Winter wounding more Germans than Soviet bullets. Weapons failing catastrophically. Bolt-action rifles seizing. Ice forming in mechanisms. Bolts frozen shut. Can't cycle rounds. Can't fire. Machine guns completely useless. Lubricating oil freezing solid. Moving parts welded together by ice. Mortars cracking from thermal stress. Metal brittleness at -50 destroying equipment. Artillery pieces still function, but crews can't touch metal without burning hands. Spent shells sticking in breeches. Extraction impossible. After few rounds, guns permanently jammed. Wehrmacht firepower degrading rapidly. Soldiers armed with clubs more effective than frozen rifles. Tanks experiencing total mechanical failure. Panzer III and IV engines designed for European temperatures. -10, maybe. Not -50. Engine blocks cracking from cold. Oil turning consistency of tar. Won't flow. Won't lubricate. Engines can't turn over. Electric starters insufficient. Crews trying to start tanks by lighting fires underneath. Sometimes works. Usually just creates smoke without heat. Transmissions seizing. Tracks freezing to ground overnight. Soldiers spending hours chipping ice, freeing tracks. By time, tank mobile, too cold to operate anyway. German armored advantage disappearing. Tanks becoming steel coffins. Crews freezing inside. Better to abandon tank, seek shelter elsewhere. Logistics collapse accelerates. Trucks carrying supplies freezing on roads. Engines failed. Radiators burst. Tires shattering from cold. Entire convoys immobilized. Supplies sitting frozen in truck beds. Can't unload. Everything frozen solid. Food, ammunition, medical supplies, all useless. Horses dying by thousands. German army still heavily horse-dependent. Hundreds of thousands of horses supporting logistics. Cold eliminating them. Horses freezing standing. Falling dead in harness. Soldiers eating horse meat immediately. Only protein available. But meat freezes within minutes. Can't cook. No fuel for fires. No wood available. Everything combustible already burned. Soldiers eating frozen horse meat. Breaking teeth. Getting sick. Dysentery spreading despite cold. Medical crisis compounding frostbite epidemic. Pneumonia cases exploding. Influenza spreading. Dysentery despite winter. Typhus appearing. Malnutrition weakening immune systems. Stress degrading health. Sleep deprivation causing errors. Soldiers collapsing from exhaustion. Frost, hunger, disease, fatigue combining into perfect storm of suffering. Field hospitals can't cope. Evacuation impossible. Roads blocked. Rails damaged. Aircraft grounded by weather. Wounded left to perish or recover independently. Survival lottery. Lucky ones recover. Most don't. Medical system failing completely. Soviet intelligence watching German difficulties with satisfaction. Stavka planning counteroffensive. Objective: push Germans away from Moscow. Exploit Wehrmacht weakness. Attack when enemy most vulnerable. December 5th, selected launch date. Red Army fresh Siberian divisions ready. Well-equipped winter warfare units. Experienced fighting extreme cold. Proper clothing. Winter boots. Insulated gloves. Fur hats. White camouflage suits. Skis for mobility. Weapons designed for winter. PPSH submachine guns functioning -50. T-34 tanks operating despite cold. Diesel engines, superior gasoline engines, extreme temperatures. Soviet equipment designed for Russian winter. German equipment designed for European climate. Difference proving decisive. December 5th, 1941. Soviet counteroffensive begins. Kalinin Front attacks north. Western Front center. Southwestern Front south. Coordinated offensive across 1,000-kilometer front. 1 million Soviet soldiers advancing against Germans barely able to defend. Wehrmacht positions static. Frozen in place literally and figuratively. Troops can't maneuver. Weapons don't fire. Tanks immobile. Artillery crews frostbitten. Defensive lines collapsing immediately under Soviet pressure. Red Army advancing rapidly. Germans retreating chaotically. Fighting withdrawal becoming rout. Equipment abandoned. Wounded left behind. Survival prioritized over everything. Get away from Soviet advance. Escape winter. Reach safety. Impossible goals. Retreat through -50 winter creates catastrophe worse than any battle. Wehrmacht columns stretching hundreds of kilometers. Soldiers marching through snow waist-deep. No shelter, no food, no rest. Temperatures staying below -40 continuously. Frostbite universal. Every soldier affected. Toes black. Fingers gone. Ears lost. Noses destroyed. Faces frozen masks. Still marching. Still retreating. Still dying. Bodies littering roadside. Frozen solid standing. Sitting. Kneeling. Whatever position they were when cold finished them. Columns marching past without stopping. Can't help. Can't bury. Can't acknowledge. Just keep moving. Keep surviving. Keep hoping. Horses dying faster than men. Thousands daily. Frozen standing in harness. Meat source when discovered fresh. But most frozen too hard to butcher. Soldiers lacking tools to cut frozen horse meat. Axes breaking against frozen carcasses. Some units eating horses without cooking. Raw frozen meat. Teeth shattering. Sickness spreading. But hunger overwhelming caution. Eat anything available. Worry about consequences later, if survived that long. German casualties December 1941, staggering. Combat losses, maybe 50,000. Frostbite casualties, over 100,000. Disease and exhaustion, another 50,000. Total, 200,000 casualties minimum. Single month, single front. More than entire French campaign 1940. Winter accomplishing what Red Army couldn't. Destroying Wehrmacht effectiveness. Breaking German military machine. Proving Hitler's assumptions catastrophically wrong. Soviet Union not weak. Red Army not incompetent. Russian winter not survivable without preparation. Wehrmacht learning lessons too late. Hitler ordering stand fast, December 16th. No retreat. Hold all positions. Fight where standing. Orders reflecting Hitler's complete disconnect from reality. Doesn't understand conditions. Never experienced Russian winter. Never saw German soldiers freezing. Never witnessed frostbite epidemic. Believes willpower overcomes weather. Believes determination defeats temperature. Orders physically impossible to obey. Generals knowing this. Soldiers knowing this. But orders are orders. Wehrmacht attempts compliance. Results predictably catastrophic. Stand-fast orders creating pockets of surrounded Germans. Soviet offensive flowing around static Wehrmacht positions. Germans ordered not retreat getting encircled. Demyansk pocket. Holm pocket. Smaller pockets everywhere. Surrounded units starving and freezing. Luftwaffe attempting supply by air. Inadequate. Planes can't carry enough. Weather grounding aircraft frequently. Drops missing targets. Supply reaching maybe quarter of needs. Surrounded soldiers perishing slowly. Some pockets eventually relieved. Many not. Stand-fast orders killing Germans more effectively than Soviet attacks. Guderian, Commander 2nd Panzer Army, requesting permission withdraw. Hitler refuses. Guderian protests. Hitler relieves command December 26th. Example to other generals. Obey or get replaced. Other commanders learning lesson. Stop protesting. Start obeying. Wehrmacht effectiveness degrading further. Professional military judgment subordinated to Hitler's ignorance. Consequences devastating but predictable. Soviet counteroffensive pushing Germans back 100-250 kilometers. Moscow saved. Immediate threat eliminated. Wehrmacht still dangerous, but weakened critically. Myth of German invincibility shattered. Red Army proving capable. Soviet Union demonstrating resilience. Stalin remaining in power. Soviet government functioning. Industrial evacuation succeeding. Urals factories producing. Siberian divisions arriving. Lend-Lease supplies beginning. Situation stabilizing. Germany learning war won't end quickly. Wehrmacht learning Russia different from Poland, France. Hitler learning nothing. Just blaming generals, weather, bad luck. Never acknowledging fundamental miscalculations. Winter 1941-42 continues brutal. Temperatures staying extreme through February. Wehrmacht holding defensive lines barely. Red Army attacking continuously. Making gains, but not breaking through. German resistance stiffening as spring approaches. Positions consolidating. Supply lines shortening. Frostbite rates declining as soldiers adapt. Learning winter warfare hard way. Acquiring proper clothing from dead comrades. Captured Soviets. Improvised solutions. Burning anything for heat. Stealing food wherever found. Survival instincts developing. Wehrmacht not defeated, but damaged severely. Requires months recovering. Summer 1942 before capable major offensive again. Statistical comparison reveals winter's impact clearly. German casualties, June-November 1941, approximately 743,000. German casualties, December 1941, March 1942, approximately 400,000. 4 months winter warfare causing half casualties of 6 months summer warfare. Winter casualty rate $100,000 monthly versus $124,000 monthly summer. Difference: summer casualties mostly combat. Winter casualties mostly cold. Bullets wounds healable. Frostbite permanent. Wehrmacht losing soldiers irreversibly to weather. Replacements arriving, but not offsetting losses. German military strength declining absolutely. Soviet losses also severe. Red Army casualties, December-March, perhaps 1 million. But Soviet reserves deeper, replacements available, population larger, industrial capacity growing, American aid increasing, Soviet position improving while German deteriorating, balance shifting toward Soviet Union. Moscow battle proving turning point. Not immediately obvious. Germany still winning territory, summer 1942. Still dangerous. Still capable. But trajectory changed. Soviet Union survived worst. Wehrmacht peak passed. Decline beginning December 1941. Minus 52 Celsius temperature recorded that day, marking watershed. Coldest point, meteorologically and metaphorically. Individual German soldiers' accounts provide ground perspective. Anonymous diary, December 1941. Cold beyond description. Thermometer broken at minus 40. Colder than that. Much colder. Fingers gone. Toes gone. Ears gone. Face frozen mask. Can't speak. Can't eat. Can't think clearly. Just exist. Wait for end. Death or relief. Either acceptable. Just stop this. Soldier survived. Lost 8 toes, 3 fingers, both ears, nose partially. Evacuated January. Never returned front. Medical discharge. Crippled for life. Typical story. Thousands similar. Wehrmacht permanently damaged by cold. Another account, officer writing home. Weather makes combat impossible. Can't operate weapons. Can't maneuver troops. Can't coordinate attacks. Just survive. Temperature minus 45, maybe minus 50. Thermometers inadequate. Colder than instruments measure. Soldiers freezing standing guard. Dying at posts. Found morning frozen solid. Still holding rifles. Still at positions. Following orders unto death. Dedication admirable. Results tragic. Wehrmacht destroying itself trying to fight Russian winter. We need withdraw, regroup, return spring. Hitler forbids, so we stay, so we freeze, so we die. Pointless, preventable, inevitable. Officer killed February Soviet attack. Never saw spring. Medical records documenting frostbite epidemic precisely. December 1941, 15,000 cases. January 1942, 42,000 cases. February, $38,000. March, 25,000. Total, 120,000. Documented frostbite casualties 4 months. Real number likely higher. Many cases unreported. Minor frostbite treated unit level, not recorded. Severe cases requiring evacuation documented, but transport difficult. Many severe cases remaining front, treated inadequately. Amputations performed by medics, not surgeons. Field conditions, no anesthesia. Rough procedures. High infection rates. Many dying from complications. Frostbite more deadly than initially appears. German logistics learning bitter lessons. Winter equipment essential. Lubricants must function extreme cold. Fuel must not gel. Engines need winterization. Vehicles need antifreeze. Soldiers need proper clothing. All obvious retrospectively. Not anticipated initially. Wehrmacht paying tuition in blood. Learning through catastrophic failure. Improvements implemented winter 1942-43. Too late for 1941 victims. Lessons applied preventing repetition, but not reversing damage already done. Soviet military studying German failures carefully. Learning what worked. Winter warfare tactics refined. White camouflage proven effective. Ski troops valuable. Winter equipment essential. Supply lines critical. Short offensives better than extended campaigns. Exploit enemy weakness. Don't overextend. Consolidate gains. Prepare next phase. Professional competence replacing revolutionary enthusiasm. Red Army becoming effective military force. Experience replacing ideology. Reality replacing propaganda. Officers' learning survival depends on competence, not political reliability. Stalin accepting this necessity. Purge victims partially rehabilitated. Professional military culture slowly returning. International observers noting Moscow results carefully. United States not yet in war, but watching closely. Pearl Harbor coming December 7th, just 2 days after Soviet counteroffensive begins. America entering war same moment, tide turning Eastern Front. Britain relieved. Soviet Union surviving means Germany fighting two-front war. Eventually, 3 fronts counting North Africa. German resources dividing. Wehrmacht no longer concentrating entirely against USSR. Lend-Lease aid flowing. Alliance forming. Victory becoming imaginable even if distant. Japanese watching Moscow battle intensely. December decision. Attack south toward oil resources or north toward Soviet Union. Moscow results showing Soviet strength. Red Army capable. Wehrmacht stalled. Japanese choosing south. Pearl Harbor attack. Philippines. Southeast Asia. Malaya. Decision shaped partially by Moscow results. If Moscow fallen, Japan might have attacked north. History might have changed dramatically. Soviet Union fighting Germany and Japan simultaneously. Perhaps crushing, perhaps surviving. Unknown. But Moscow Holden removes option. Japanese going south. Soviet Union facing only Germany. Stalin transferring Siberian divisions west. Using them, Moscow counteroffensive. Japanese non-aggression pact holding. Strategic situation stabilizing. Propaganda value of Moscow victory enormous for Soviet Union. Proved survival possible. Demonstrated resistance working. Showed German vulnerability. Wehrmacht not invincible. Winter not neutral. Soviet determination genuine. Stalin leadership effective, or at least not catastrophically incompetent. Cinema newsreels showing Soviet soldiers advancing. German prisoners marching east. Captured equipment displayed. Morale boosting desperately needed. Civilian populations enduring hardship. Rations minimal. Conditions terrible. But Moscow holding providing hope. Sacrifices meaningful. Victory possible. Keep working. Keep fighting. Keep believing. Propaganda working because underlying truth existed. Soviet Union actually holding. Actually advancing. Actually winning at Moscow even if losing elsewhere. German propaganda struggling to explain Moscow failure. Blame weather exclusively. Coldest winter century. Unprecedented temperatures. No army could operate such conditions. Wehrmacht fighting magnificently despite impossible odds. Soldiers heroes persevering impossible circumstances. Soviet victories due whether not military skill. German defeat temporary setback. Spring brings renewed offensive. Moscow still objective. Victory inevitable eventually. Germans believe propaganda initially, later losing faith as war continues. Moscow becomes first crack in faith, small initially, growing with each setback. Stalingrad, Kursk, Bagration. Each defeat widening crack until facade collapses completely. Moscow begins process. Long-term effects of Moscow winter on Wehrmacht psychology severe. German soldiers losing confidence fighting Russia. Eastern Front becomes punishment assignment. Transfer west considered lucky. East means suffering, death, frostbite, lice, disease, endless misery. Morale problems developing. Discipline issues increasing. Desertion rates rising. Wehrmacht effectiveness declining not just materially, but psychologically. Moscow winter breaks something in German military spirit. Never fully recovers. Continues fighting effectively, but without confidence, without belief in victory, just survival. Get through day. Make it home eventually. Win war? Maybe. Probably not. Just survive personally. Wehrmacht becoming defensive psychologically before becoming defensive militarily. -52 Celsius temperature recorded December 4th, 1941, becomes symbolic. Coldest temperature ever recorded, Moscow region. Marked moment, German offensive stopped completely. Marked beginning Wehrmacht retreat. Marked turning point, Eastern Front. Marked moment, Soviet survival assured. Not immediately obvious. Germans still dangerous, still occupying vast territory, still capable offensives. But trajectory changed. Balance tipping. Soviet Union enduring worst. Wehrmacht peak passed. -52 Celsius number remembered. Taught Soviet schools. Mentioned histories. Symbolic of larger truth. Russian winter defeated Wehrmacht when Red Army couldn't. Nature accomplished what humans couldn't. Temperature succeeded where bullets failed. -52 Celsius froze more Germans than Soviets killed. Moscow saved by thermometer reading. Modern Russian remembrance of Moscow battle emphasizes heroism, sacrifice, determination. Rightfully so. Soviet soldiers fought magnificently. Citizens endured horrifically. Leadership held firm. Victory earned through blood and suffering, but also acknowledge weather played role. Not to diminish Soviet achievement, rather to recognize complete picture. Wehrmacht came close, few kilometers from capturing Moscow. Soviet resistance stopped them. Then winter finished job. Both factors necessary, neither sufficient alone. Combined they saved Moscow. Combined they changed war. Combined they prevented German victory. Soviet heroism plus Russian winter equals survival. Equation must include both terms. Veterans remembering Moscow battle decades later always mention cold. Not exclusively. Combat prominent. Fear present. Loss acknowledged. But cold universal experience. Every veteran froze. Every survivor suffered frostbite. Every participant endured temperatures beyond normal human tolerance. Cold becomes shared memory, bonding experience. Everyone froze together. Rank irrelevant at -50. Generals cold as privates. Commissars cold as soldiers. Cold democratizing misery. Everyone suffering equally. Creates solidarity, transcending military hierarchy. Veterans meeting decades later reminisce about cold before discussing combat. Remember how cold becomes greeting. Shared suffering creating lasting bonds. Moscow victory saved Soviet Union. Probably. Counterfactual history uncertain. If Moscow fallen December 1941, would Soviet Union collapsed? Maybe. Maybe not. Stalin might have continued fighting from Urals. Factories evacuation succeeded. Military reserves still available. Territory vast. Defeat possible but not guaranteed. But Moscow holding made victory imaginable. Created foundation for recovery. Provided time for reorganization. Generated morale boost desperately needed. Whether absolutely necessary for survival debatable. Whether extremely important, undeniable. Moscow holding bought time. Time bought survival. Survival enabled victory. Chain of causation clear, even if contingent. Final truth about Moscow. Winter froze more Germans than bullets killed. Temperature -52 Celsius killed Wehrmacht effectiveness more than any battle. Cold defeated Germans when Red Army couldn't. Weather accomplished military objective, humans struggled achieving. Moscow saved by thermometer as much as by soldiers. Remember soldiers rightfully. Honor sacrifice appropriately. Acknowledge heroism accurately. But also remember weather. Remember cold. Remember winter. Remember -52 Celsius, December 4th, 1941. Day coldest temperature recorded. Day German offensive stopped. Day Moscow saved. Day Wehrmacht learned Russian winter unforgiving. Day nature reminded humans, temperature absolute. Orders meaningless. Willpower insufficient. Cold winds, always. Remember Moscow. Remember -52. Remember winter froze more Germans than bullets ever could.